Hi, everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thanks for joining us today, August 18th. Wow, so it's already halfway done with the month. August 18th, 2021, for our regular Wednesday Q&A. I think it's the second one we're doing at 6 p.m. We've moved it an hour later, 6 p.m. Pacific time, so more people around the world could fit into their schedule after work. But thank you so much for joining me. I have people trickling in already, and we're going to take your questions, general educational responses, not case-specific stuff we're going to talk about. But I'm here to do it, and we always get a ton of interesting questions, so I really appreciate everyone who's following and asking these questions. Now, I want to remind people that we are giving away free 15-minute pro bono consultations for those who like, subscribe, and comment saying consultation. And my great assistant, Kayla, will name a person off or a person who's listed every 10 minutes. So we're going to give out 3 of these free consultations. Mohammed Sami says, hi to you. Just as for the people watching live. So it's going to be really helpful. Every week we're doing a ton of this and really help people get their case back on track or, alleviate their confusion with it. Because the immigration system in the U.S. is extremely confusing. If you want to schedule a private consultation, a paid consultation, a regular one, just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. And if you're interested in a marriage green card case, the first thing you should do, or fiance case, is to download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, a free guide I wrote that has tons of information that's going to be helpful. Just go to info@jqk. I'm sorry, it's my website. That's my email. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And with that, let's get it going. The delays that are happening in these cases are horrible, but there is somewhat of a bright news coming in that for employment-based cases, which is a lot of people are Indian background, born in India, born in China, who have huge delays with their cases already. If they have an I-140 approved, the basics of an employment-based green card case, and they have an adjustment of status case approved or filed already, they're doing their best, USCIS says, to get these in and out and issue the green cards before the end of the fiscal year. The fiscal year for the U.S. government ends at the end of September. So they're saying every year, these employment-based cases, there's only so many of these green cards that can be approved. There's a limit. So they're trying to, get as many approved now, so they don't these visas that are green cards that are available don't go wasted. And right now, because they're not doing green card interviews in India right now, in China, because of the COVID travel ban, so many of these green cards are going unused and unused, so they're not going to get used and they're going to expire. So they're trying their best for those who are doing adjustment of status within the United States to get them. And so what we're seeing now is getting letters from USCIS, in some cases text messages, saying, hey, do your medical and send it to us as soon as possible so we can finish up your case and approve it. The medical is a checkup that you do as part of your green card case. And so we're getting these letters and we're sending them in. So hopefully we'll get the green cards, a lot of them approved before in the next month or two before September ends. And then with that, you can expect the visa bulletin for a lot of these employment-based cases jump forward a lot too. Hopefully, we just don't know. Everything is day by day, but that's the direction it looks like it's going. So it's going to help a lot of people that are inside the United States. They're benefiting from this. If you're Indian and you're in the United States, but if you're Indian and you're outside, you're not getting many benefits at all. I ask, what are the forms to file my mom and my son living in Nigeria? Well, I can't specify, I need to know more information to see what forms are needed. But the basics of it are, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can file for your mom. The basic form is the form I-130 to get it started. But later on, you'll need to do consular processing. And for a minor child as well, it's I-130. You want to file that before the child is 21. That's going to be very important. But the I-130 for family-based cases is the initial thing you submit if their family is overseas, whatever kind of family relationship there is. I-130 for separately, one for the mom, one for the child. And if you're getting married, you also need to submit a form I-130A. So there's 2 forms for that. And then later on, you deal with what's called consular processing. There's a form DS-260, form I-864. There may be waiver requests needed. We don't know. And a bunch of civil documents. But that's the basics. But I can't advise you individually because I don't know all the details of your case. But thank you for your question. Millionaire asks, what about asylum seekers? What about them? They are changing the rules that says when someone is, for example, at the border, when they apply for asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border, for example, they do what's called a credible fear finding. So the officers at the border feel like there might be an asylum case there. they're going to send them to immigration court for a judge to decide. This has put a lot of pressure on the immigration courts because there's huge backlog. It's a 1 million+ case backlog in the immigration court system. So what they want to do is to have USCIS immigration officers review these outside of the court context. So that's going to be interesting. I haven't read the full regulatory change that they published today about that for asylum seekers, but that only affects people that are coming to the border now in the future. So it's like when you say, what about asylum seekers? There's 1,000,001 things that could be about. So always just consult an attorney about your individual case to see how anything affects you individually. Another question, a question from Umar Bal says, how long do they take to send your green card after fingerprints? The fingerprints are completely unrelated to the issuance of the green card, so there's no time relationship there. Everyone has a different kind of green card case, and it just depends on when that comes through and how busy your local office is and what country you're born in and many other factors. About Golf Logs Regular ask, my adjustment of status change to interview was scheduled last week, but I'm not getting the interview notice in the mail. Should I go ahead and do my medical exam, or should I wait to get the notice? If they schedule your interview, they actually schedule it, not that they're planning to schedule. If they schedule it 100%, do your medical checkup as soon as possible. You want to bring the sealed medical checkup envelope with you to the adjustment of status interview. It's important to have it there to avoid getting RFE, and in some cases they'll deny it if you don't bring it. That's very rare, but for the most part, immediately contact a doctor, do it, get all this stuff done, to have a sealed envelope to take with you to your interview. Richard asks, hi JQK, or JKQ, but it should be JQK. Please, how long does it take to get an interview notice if my case status changed or ready to be scheduled for an interview? So I get this question a lot. I have a lot of videos I've done over and over again about this, but when the USCIS.gov website says that your cases change, it says all of a sudden it pops up based on your I-485 case number, it says your case is ready to be scheduled for interview. At most, that means that your local USCIS office has the case in hand and they're looking at it. And that's the next step after that, is for them to schedule an interview for you. But when they will schedule an interview, it could be a week, a month, it could be 2 years. There's no correlation between those activities. It's whenever they're ready, they'll schedule it. So it's not a how long process, it's whenever they're ready. So it's good that the case finished the service center and I had it. The initial review seemed to be fine, didn't have any problems with that. That's good, you got for the first level of screening. But the second level of screening, it just depends on when they have time to do it. So you got to be patient and wait for them to pull it through. Mohammed asks, what is the last step for the green card renewal? And is it normal that it says after a week the decision is going to come, or there is something? Well, your question is not really clear. I'm not sure what you're talking about when you say there is something or going to happen. There's different kind of green card renewals. That there's a removal of conditions for a 2-year green card. Then there's a regular 10-year green card. There's no last step. You file it. You may or may not need to do a biometrics. They may or may not do a request for evidence. There may or may not be issues that lead to a denial or a notice of intent to deny, or you get approved and you get the green card. So the question, the way it's worded, doesn't really get at the core of maybe what your worries are or something like that. But essentially, you file. Hopefully, you file correctly. Hopefully, you don't have some background inadmissibility issues or removable issues. Other than that, you just wait to get the green card. Srivani follows up, for I-485 processing, I submitted my birth certificate that are in English, but I took the birth certificate after 20 years I was born. Should I submit affidavits for this? Yeah, this is a really important issue. It's a major problem. If your birth certificate was issued more than a few months after you're born, USCIS has gotten very strict on this, saying it's not an appropriate birth certificate, which causes you to have to find alternative documents, affidavits, school records, anything else that you can show what your name, date of birth is, your parents' names are, all that kind of stuff. That gap between your birth and getting the birth certificate issued, if it's too long or mildly long, has become a major issue in all the cases I'm seeing. So be prepared to deal with that issue. We'll talk about a little bit at a free consultation. Fatima asks, hi, I'm willing to apply for N-400 for citizenship, but I've had several trips outside the United States for less than 6 months, but my last trip was 10 months during COVID. Do you think I might be deported? No, I don't think I'll be deported. Now, I don't know enough about you, but these absences, especially over 6 months, are going to be a big reason for a denial. If you're outside for 10 months because of COVID, we have to show that you were really stuck because of COVID, but you still had a life here that you lost out on. So if you're working, you had a job here, you may have lost a job, at least you had a job. If you had a lease, a landlord-tenant lease, if you had a car insurance, we'd have to show that in those 10 months your life was really here, but you got stuck outside. And those absences of less than 6 months could be a problem too. If there are multiple 4 or 5 month absences, they'll say, where are you really living? Why are you being outside the U.S. so repeatedly? Now, if you had, a 1 month vacation here or 2 week vacation there, that's not a big deal. But if you're constantly out for 5 months and then one trip for 10 months, it's really problematic. So you 100% need to talk with an immigration attorney to review it and analyze it to see how bad the situation is. But on the face of it, I don't think you're going to get deported or anything. But I don't know the full details of your case. That's why this is just general information only. I need to talk with you in private to see what's going on with your case. But you should talk with a lawyer before filing, not to waste your time and money if you have problems. User Lisa Perez asks, can you get your license while you're in the process of waiting your green card? Well, every state is different for getting a license, so it's not one answer I could give. Generally, the Department of Motor Vehicle in each state wants to show you have proof of status in the United States. So you may or may not have existing status while your green card case is pending. So that could prevent you from getting a driver's license. Some states allow people out of status to get a driver's license, but they have different rules. So you need to look up and go to the website for your Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, or every state has a different name for it, and check out what their rules and regulations are. Most likely, you'll probably just need to wait until you get your work permit. If you filed for the EAD, the work permit, with your green card case, I don't know if you did. And once you get that, that could be used at the DMV easily to get a driver's license. But you got to wait. Those are taking a long time, like 8-9 months right now. So prepare for that. Maria asks, how strict is the clear and convincing standard for remarriage within 5 years? At the end of the day, these officers, there's no line. They just read it and it's how they feel. So I have every case I do, even for regular marriage cases, based on the highest standard personally, because I don't want to leave room for doubt. So how strict is it? It's not something I can answer. I need to see what's going on in your marriage, what happened with the previous marriage that you were divorced, what the new marriage is, what evidence you have about your relationship. So I wouldn't be looking at how strict it is. It really just depends on your case and how you show it. So, just consult. It's 100%. You need to have a lawyer on this. So just get a lawyer. That's what you have to do when you have such a case like that. User 288 says, is it easier for a Canadian citizen compared to other countries to immigrate to the USA? It's not easier to immigrate, but it's easier to get a work permit, what's called the the trade NAFTA agreement. Based on that, now it's called I forgot they changed the name of it. But anyways, there's this visa called the TN visa or TN status, and if you're a Canadian citizen and you found a job in certain job categories and you have the educational experience background, it's easier for you to come and work in the United States. But when regards to immigrating, Canada and most countries of the world don't have a backlog when it comes to immigrating, like China, India, Philippines, Mexico, they do. So it's not one of those countries that have a backlog, but that's about it. The benefits for Canadians is that they don't need to get a visa to enter the United States. And also they have access to the TN visa if they want to get that for work. And Mexico has that too, but it's just a little bit easier for Canadians because they can show up at the airport to get that work permission. I'm a citizen. My sister is living in Pakistan. Can I apply for a visitor visa for her in this time? Well, it's a question I get every day. And the reality is you do not file for someone else's visitor visa. Each person on their own applies for a visitor visa and has nothing to do with you. So if I was your sister, I would go to the U.S. Embassy's website to read the instructions on filing for a tourist visa, submit it, hopefully get a visa appointment. Probably not going to happen because of COVID and being understaffed. And most likely her case can get denied because Pakistan has a high denial rate for tourist visas. But, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. It may work. Not everyone gets denied. But that's what she has to do. It's not you apply for her, she applies for herself, and you pray that you get an appointment, and you pray that it goes through. Barack asks, I submitted my original divorce papers with my application. Should I have gotten another one for the interview? It wasn't a good idea to submit originals. I would get a new copy. Now, if they keep your original divorce papers in the file, the officer will have it at the interview, but you never know with USCIS. There might have been a copy of it and mistakenly thrown away. So you should now get another copy of your divorce papers and bring that with you to the interview in case the ones you sent already are lost. So I got my Social Security card along with my EAD, and Social Security says DHS Authorization only. What does it mean? When you get a work permit and EAD card, you're limited in your work based on what type of visa you have or how long it is and all that kind of stuff. So when you don't have a full Social Security number or Social Security card too, based on having a green card or being a citizen, then it's always going to have this restriction on it. So the employer is aware that there's restrictions involved, and that's what that says. So once you do get your green card, you need to contact the Social Security office and tell them, hey, here's my green card. Please take away these restrictions. and they should issue a new card that has nothing written underneath, just the number on the Social Security card, so that future employers don't get paranoid and be like, why is you have a green card, you're a citizen, why are the restrictions on your Social Security number? You just need to get a new card. But essentially, it's to notify employers that this person can't just work anywhere at any time. There are restrictions for it. Maria asks, can my new employer file an H-1B while my green card I-130 is pending since June 30th? If you're maintained status, yeah, you can file for an H-1B. I mean, it's gonna be hard, and I'm not sure what the timelines are, but technically, let's say it was, in January, yeah, the employer can file for an H-1B if you have an I-130 pending. But I don't know what kind of case you have. We need to analyze more what your I-130 is based on. Maybe you should have filed an adjustment of status if it was based on marriage or being a minor child of a U.S. citizen or parent of a U.S. citizen. I don't know. So I need to know more information case, but that's the general idea. Hi, I've been over a year and a half trying to change from B1 to F1. How many extensions can I file? Well, they changed the rule on filing these extensions until your F1's approved. They just changed it last month. So essentially, you don't need to keep filing the B2 extensions. But Khosravi was an attorney on that. I personally don't accept, B2 to F2, F1 cases to student visa cases on purpose because it was such a mess in last years. But this new rule that they changed where you don't need to keep extending B1 is really good. I haven't read into the details because I haven't started accepting these cases. I might now they listen to it. So I guess let me fill you in on people who don't know. When you come to the United States on a tourist visa, for example, you have a 6-month stay. But if you come and a couple months later, you realize, hey, I want to go to school in the United States. I'm going to apply for a student visa called an F1. You do a change of status from a B2, a tourist visa, as a B2 to an F1. The problem is getting that approved is taking like 9 months to a year and a half right now. It's crazy how long it's taking to change from a tourist visa to a student visa. In the mix, the 6 months of time you had in the United States to be here lawfully ends. So what you have to do is, what you had to do was do a change of status in F1, and every 6 months also file an extension of your tourist visa. So you're just paying filing fee after filing fee, thousands of dollars, and you need to have there's a lot of problems because you need the F1 to be approved close to the time that your semester is going to start, because it takes so long for the case to be approved. A semester starts and ends, a new one starts and ends before you could do it. So you have to then coordinate with the school to update the I-20 in the system and see this and get updated. So it was a huge mess, and you can still do it, but I intentionally just want to file this because it was such a, so annoying. But now that they changed rule, I might start. But yeah, your question, how many times, there's no limit, and you don't need to do any more technically, but consult with an attorney, because I saw the headlines in the USCIS update that came out for this about, 2 to 3 weeks ago. But I didn't go into the details of it because it's not a case I typically handle. So I say consult with someone in private. God bless you all. I'll see you all next week, 6 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday. I'm John Khosravi of the JQK Law Firm. God bless and be safe, everyone. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. We have a second channel with much more information as well at JQK Immigration Clips. Please check that out. Also, you'll find our social media site has a lot more videos, images, and information about the U.S. immigration process. Please check those out on the various social media websites.